What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Clippers are playing excellent basketball. I mean, seriously, they have been ridiculous and have really seemed to figure it out. You have Kawhi Leonard playing like he's Toronto Kawhi. You got James Harden playing the playmaking role just seamlessly. Russell Westbrook in a bench role. The Clippers have been deep. They're talented. They can score the basketball. They can defend. They can basically do everything. And they've won 15 out of the last 18 games since the beginning of December, which is ridiculous to think that they've only lost literally 3 games. They've lost 3 games since December 2nd. They went on that ridiculous win streak where they won 9 straight. Then they lost to the Thunder and the Celtics on a back-to-back, which, get Thunder and Celtics, 2 of the best teams in the league. Then they followed that up with going on a 5-game winning streak, beating the Hornets, the Grizzlies, the Heat, the Suns, and the Pelicans. Then they lost that tough loss to the Lakers, which, give the Lakers some credit, but also the Clippers just didn't shoot the basketball well. They only scored 103 points. And then immediately, the very next day, went and played the Phoenix Suns again and got the win against Phoenix. Bounced right back from that loss. And they've been excellent. They're 4-1 in the month of January. They're very likely going to continue to win more games than not, right? Unless something crazy happens. This team is a real threat. And I think it's something that needs to at least be discussed and needs to be taken serious, right? The Clippers absolutely deserve to be in the conversation as one of, if not the best teams in the league. They are playing some of the best basketball in the entire league. They've been, top 5 in pretty much everything. They're 3 games out of the 1 seed in the Western Conference. When they first did this trade, the Clippers were, on a 6-game losing streak, out of the play. It looked like a team that just was ready to, this was the biggest mistake ever, and completely turned it around. And look, I was wrong, right? I didn't think that this would work. I thought if it did, I thought it might be a little clunky. I didn't think it would work as well as it has. And they've been very good. And I do think that they need to be taken serious. Now, personally, I don't really think the Clippers are going to win the championship this year. Primarily because the Clippers, to me, I kind of put in that same category as the Boston Celtics. Like, even Boston has been clearly the best team all season. And there is a real argument that the Celtics and the Clippers could go head-to-head in the NBA Finals, and no one would be shocked. They're both playing some of the best basketball all season. But every year, right, when you're talking about the Clippers, right, every year for the last, 10 years, it's been the Clippers' year. Dating back to Lob City. They had, a 5-year stretch where they were, the best team in the league. And every year, they find a way to lose. The Clippers, even in recent years, right? Every year it's their year, and every year they find a way to lose, blowing 3-1 leads, or just injury happens, right? Which is a concern with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard more so than many other stars. Obviously, every team, there's always the concerns of injuries and stuff, but when your 2 key guys are guys that are known to miss quite a bunch of games due to injury, it is a concern. They've been healthy, and so far they've looked very good, right? You got, again, James Harden kind of is that glue guy that's kind of put it all together. He really has been. Because James Harden has really embraced that playmaking role. And I mean, he did it in Philly and stuff like that, but he's even more right now doing that. And James Harden at any point has the capability to just go off for 30, right? On any night, if James Harden needs to, he could just go get a bucket. But with the Clippers, he's really been okay with just playing point guard. And that was something that the Clippers needed desperately. Clippers had the depth, they had the shooting, they had the talent, right? You look at the Clippers roster the last few years and it's man, they have everything, right? They're the deepest team in the league. They have just incredible scorers and the best wing duo in the league, and they should just be running through everybody. But the problem is that they just didn't have that guy to kind of put it all together. And James Harden, so far, looks to be that guy. He looks like he's the guy that is putting it all together and really kind of just been able to right the ship for the Clippers. And then him just constantly being a shooting and scoring threat, I think is even better. I mean, this season he's averaging, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, which is excellent. And he's allowed the two stars in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to still continue to shine. As I mentioned, Kawhi Leonard, he's looked as good as he has in recent memory. I mean, he's looked very good on both sides of the basketball. His shot, everything. Everything is clicking on all cylinders for Kawhi Leonard. Paul George, still spectacular. Paul George is one of the best, difficult shot makers we have in this league. Dude, that guy is ridiculous. And, you in every, other game, you just have that, ridiculous Paul George game, right? Paul George, he has his ailments, don't get me wrong. He has his question marks at times and, the playoff P, pandemic P type thing and all that stuff. But, Paul George, man, when he's on, there's very few guys that are in that conversation with him. I mean, seriously. I'm talking about, when he's really on. When he's in that zone, which happens, every couple games. Every couple games, you can just expect Paul George to just go off for, 35 and just shoot, 11 of 15 from the field or something like that. Paul George, man, that dude is just... And you have him and Kawhi just doing George and Kawhi things, playing at an elite level with James Harden kind of being the glue guy, putting it all together. Then you have, the bench with Russell Westbrook has really bought in and has embraced that limited guard off the roll, that limited player off the roll. Defensively, he's been excellent, right? He's really blossomed for the Clippers, right? And look, that's one of the things that I've gotten right with the Clippers is Russell Westbrook, right? Because when he was on the Lakers and then when he went from the Lakers to the Clippers, I just looked at that roster and I was like, oh, that's perfect for Russell Westbrook because they have the shooting, they have the floor space. The problem with the Lakers is, one, they couldn't really let Russ be Russ because they didn't have the pieces to complement him. He had to play off the ball a lot, right? And then, for him to accept the 6-man role and stuff, it just still was clunky because LeBron's still going to play, 35 minutes a game or whatever, right? Just we're with the Clippers, it's you can have James Harden play off the ball because he's such a good shooter. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are excellent. You can let Russell Westbrook be Russell Westbrook. And then you got guys Norman Powell off the bench who can just go get a bucket and just go give you a random 20 piece on any given night. Right? And then they got the big men and Daniel Tice who's been good and, Mason Plumlee. Right? I have questions about some of the other guys, Amir Coffey and, Boston when they play him from time to time. But for the most part, right, the benches look good, right? They're not as deep as they've been in previous or past years, but they've still been good enough. Right? And they do have kind of all those nice little complementary pieces. Zoo is still a big problem, although at times Zoo can be a problem for the Clippers, but he's still a very solid center. Right? He's a big body. Right? When he's kind of in his groove, he's tough. Right? Terrence Mann as kind of your 3-and-D guy. Right? He's been good. It's just the Clippers are just they're just a very good basketball team. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They really are. They are exceeding expectations, in my opinion. It's just, can they keep it up enough to go win an NBA championship? It's just, I'm not personally, I can't crown them. I can't get there. I can't. Because, again, it's just every year we see this. Every year it's Clippers are coming, Clippers are going to do this, or, Clippers are going to do that, or whatever, right? And every year they find a way, right? Every year. And look, they are still in many ways a team that kind of lives and dies by the three, and they can kind of get in their own way at times. They're not a perfect team. They definitely have their issues and questions and flaws, right? But I don't know. I mean, They have looked like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, the last like month and a half. Seriously. Since that 6-game losing streak, it's like James Harden hit that and 1-3 that got them their first win. And since then, it's been all sunshines and rainbows, essentially. Right? I mean, they've just been excellent. And at worst, they're going to be an extremely tough out. Extremely tough out. But I do have questions. Like the Nuggets, I still think can absolutely beat them. The Timberwolves, I think, might be a tough matchup with them just because of their size and their defense. Although there are questions of like, will the Timberwolves be able to score enough? I can still score the basketball, and at times, like the Timberwolves' offense is just like non-existent at times, outside of like Anthony Edwards just going and creating something. I do think that the Lakers, if they were to face the Lakers in a 7-game series, I think would be tough for them. Just because Anthony Davis and LeBron James and the Lakers' size at times, right? Like, that could be a bit of an issue. Although the Clippers have had the Lakers' number the last few years. But outside of that, like, I think that they beat the Thunder in a 7-game series. I think they beat the Kings, the Pelicans, the Mavs, the Suns. I think they could beat the Suns in a 7-game series. The Rockets. That's basically it. And then looking out east, like Boston, I think would be tough. I think Boston beats them. I actually think that they could beat the Bucks, and I actually think they match up pretty well against the Bucks. Same thing with the Sixers. The only team in the East that I really think I would like take over them is the Celtics. But in the West, I think the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, and the Lakers are probably the 3 teams. Yeah, those are the 3 teams that I could see beating the Clippers. But I don't think it's a lock for any of those teams. Like I don't think I would bet on any of those teams beating the Clippers. Or maybe Denver, just because Denver, they're proven. All right, but outside of that, man, it's just can the Clippers get out of their own way come the playoffs? Can they finally get over that hump? That's the real question. But we'll see. Time will tell. This team is really coming together. They're really figuring it out. Like I said, Russell Westbrook really has embraced just playing both sides of the ball and is kind of embraced that back, because that was a real question. Like, okay, it's one thing for him to play the backup role, right? But it's another thing to go get James Harden, and now his playing time just gets completely diminished, right? Which in many cases it has, right? He's averaging 23 minutes a game this season, but he's had plenty of games where he's only getting like 15 to like 17 minutes, right? So, but he's embraced it, and he's been good in those stretches. I mean, against Phoenix, he played 15 minutes, gave you 9 points, 2 rebounds, and 7 assists in 15 minutes. 15 minutes, right? Like, if he can continue to be productive like that, or like the Memphis game where he played 20 minutes, gave you 14, 6, and 6, right? Like, Russell Westbrook still got it, right? And I think in the right situation, he could really thrive. Like, he's been excellent for the Clippers. But I'm talking about, like, if he went to like the right team and just got the opportunity to just basically play 30 minutes, be point guard, you'd probably win a bunch of games. I mean, I don't think you'd be winning anything, right? I don't think you'd win a championship or anything, but I do think Russell Westbrook is a guy that can still be dynamic. And he's really bought in and just embraced it and accepted it. And you just have all these guys figured, like James Harden, just really embracing that playmaking role. Kawhi Leonard basically being a lead on both sides of the basketball once again. And then Paul George basically every other game giving you some monster. And like I'm not when I say like every other game, I don't mean it in the sense of like, oh, he's bad one game and then great the next. No, I'm talking about like, he's good, But then he just like every other game or every couple games, he just has that like just monster game. We were just like, wow, this is a real basketball player, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. But man, Clippers, there's a real argument to be made. The Clippers are the best team in the league. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Where do you rank the Clippers? Do you rank them number one? Do you think there's other teams in front of them? Do you think that this is finally their year? Again, I wouldn't be shocked at all, but I wouldn't have been shocked the last 10 years, right? Like if the Clippers won a championship. It's just every year we hear the same thing, and every year they just find a way to drop the ball. As long as they don't run into Luka, I guess they'll be all right. But anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.